Hello viewers, my name is Harvey Turner, and I hate to admit it, but until very recently, I was under the belief that it took 3,000 years to do this. Well, not the building of the Giza Pyramids, but the fleecing of the white Tour limestone casement stones. As we can see today, there's only a little bit left at the very top. But I've envisioned Roman and Ottoman cranes that have been scratching away at these pyramids for thousands of years since then. Well, I've been wrong. So when did the casing stones of the Giza pyramids disappear? I read up on Herodotus, Diodorus, and the ancient historians, Pliny the Elder, John Greaves, Sir Isaac Newton, Frederick Norton, and I went through their writings and I didn't find anything at first. Nothing that was definitive about just exactly when this happened. So I went back and I reread John Greaves' 1646 publication. He called it Pyramidographia, which was his illustrated and lengthy written description of both of his trips to the Giza Plateau. And in what he has written are the answers to when the casing stones, the white casing stones of Giza Pyramid went missing. It's all there when you read into what he's got, and that's what I want to share with you in this video. So who is John Greaves? Well, John Greaves is a historian and astronomer and mathematician from London, and he'd been to the Giza Plateau to study the pyramids exclusively. 2 different trips. He actually spoke Arabic and Persian, and he's a very well accomplished, connected, and well-known Englishman. And he wrote his entire story, everything he measured, everything he philosophized, everything that he recorded from. It's online. I'll send you the link. And I read through it the first time, and it just seemed crazy. I actually started to think that he just went down to Memphis, now it's called Cairo, and hired a couple people to come in. It was safer than actually getting out there because, you know, those days are pretty dangerous. I was a little bit skeptical about if he'd actually been there and taken a look because the way he was describing what he was seeing is weird. If he were a radio sports commentator describing a game, you could listen in for 30 seconds and not be sure if it was football or baseball or bowling. It's really his writing. You have to go through it. But then once you really get into it, after doing it once, I decided, you know what, I got to sit down and really read into his writing. And so I read it again. And it's lengthy and it's written in the Old English style and it's difficult. The way they wrote in those days. And then what's more, I got lucky on Craigslist and I found the actual publication. I mean, this is not the latest writing. This one's published in 1736. You know, the guy had been in Egypt 90 years earlier, but it didn't get put into booklet form, complete with illustrations, you know, until much later. All of his writings here, but I got lucky and I found this and I read it again and I completely opened my mind to, okay, the guy isn't, you know, just using 900 words to describe 100 words worth of stuff. He isn't just using somebody else's descriptions of everything. Let's check his measurements. Let's go through every oddity. I mean, there's a part where he's describing the top of Khufu's pyramid as being, and he climbed up there. He describes the top in a way he states with 9 stones, besides 2 which are wanting at the angles. And it's like, what, is that English? What are you describing? And basically, it's 9 blocks square minus 2 where they've been pushed off the corners. You have to really read through the puzzles that are his words. His whole book is that way. The English language is so simple to me, and yet when you use a whole plethora of verbs in exchange of nouns and adjectives and vice versa, you wind up with how John Greaves writes. If you can get through that, you start finding the facts. If you can look at this publication not so much as a puzzle, But this is really should be studied. As far as I'm concerned, this is a snapshot of what he found in 1646. He wrote his notes down, and unfortunately, it didn't get published for a long time, possibly didn't even reach the masses or the people until after he passed. I think he died in 1655 or something like that. People who have read this alongside myself will say, well, his measurements don't match the actual pyramids, and his descriptions don't match the actual pyramids. So how can you say that it's accurate? Well, if you force yourself to read and take what he states as accurate, then you do get an accurate picture. Starting with the first pyramid, he finds an entranceway. It's almost like a doorway, and it's in his illustrations. That entranceway is just above the ground, which we know isn't the case, you know? And he describes basically blocks, perfect blocks. He calls the first pyramid the fairest of the three pyramids, which in Old English is another way of saying whiter, the whitest of the three pyramids. And we all know the first pyramid is no whiter than the others. Did the original casing stones, were they whiter? Well, his illustrations show what he calls degrees. He doesn't refer to them as blocks. He refers to them as degrees. And he counts 207 degrees from the sands. So, and today we know that, it's been counted out, there are 210 to the top, but they're missing the top 10. So in other words, there is 3 or 4 that the numbers don't match. Well, okay. Basically, I'm going to go through the timeline here to summarize why John Greaves' numbers don't match the numbers that we have here, and the descriptions that he has don't match what we have today. And it starts with the fact that Khufu's pyramid was not smooth like Khafre's and like Menkaure pyramid. I know this is going to sound weird to you, but I challenge anybody to read this book such as I have and to put this together, because this is really good stuff. But when he was there in 1646, the pyramids were essentially undisturbed. And the illustrations in his book are accurate, and I'll tell you how. Let's go to history as told by Caliph al-Ma'mun in the year 820. He was obsessed with finding his way into the pyramids, and he did. He found his way in the year 820, according to him. They did find gold, and they found wrapped bodies, and they found a sword and a king who was buried in the hollow stone in the king's chamber, and they profited from it. But they didn't profit because he spent such a fortune finding his way in, cutting his way through the stone, that he didn't make any money. The time and money that he spent, the years doing what he had to do, he admitted he broke even after taking what he found. And he made the decision to make sure that nobody else could find their way into Khafre's pyramid and Menkaure's pyramid, which he called something else. And he buried them again. He had uncovered them, and he buried them. He can't bury the whole pyramid, but you can put down 30 or 40 feet worth of dirt and make things difficult for the next person. When John Greaves arrives in the year 1646, everything is still under 20 or 30 feet of backfill. That is why John Greaves' measurements of the pyramids are smaller, because 5, 6, 7 courses of the pyramid are now covered. Yes, his measurements don't match that of Herodotus. Yes, his measurements don't match that of Pliny and the people who were there before him. Everybody else stated that it was bigger, and now it's covered up again. The pyramid is smaller. Height-wise, too. Also, when he talks about the second pyramid, which is Khafre's pyramid, he talks that it's about the same size, but nobody can climb that one. It has smooth sides. I'll read straight from page 140 and 141, and this is as he describes the second pyramid. By my observation, the stones are a color white, nothing so great and vast as the first and fairest pyramid. The sides rise not with degrees like that, but all of them plain and smooth, the whole fabric except where it is opposed to the south, seeming very entire, free from any deformed ruptures or breaches. I mean, right there, he's saying that the first pyramid is whiter than the second pyramid. Khufu is whiter than Khafre, but that Khufu is stepped in its rises, whereas Khafre is smooth, and the whole fabric, except where it is opposed to the south, which I'm a little curious, there must be something damaged from the south, seeming very entire and free from any deformed ruptures or breaches. 1646, and I feel like Indiana Jones as I'm reading this stuff, but this is public information. You just have to read into it. Then Frederick Norden arrived in 1737, and his illustrations show all three of the Giza pyramids as fleeced, with Khafre's pyramid to almost what photographic history has shown us since the late 1800s. So the natural conclusion is that 95% of the fleecing happened sometime within the 90 years between 1646 with John Greaves and 1737 with Frederick Norden. More than 4,000 years of undisturbed, beautiful casing stones, then 90 years of fleecing. Harvesting. I don't feel good about finding out that this was done in 90 years or less. But anyways, back to John Greaves. When he was on the Giza Plateau in 1646, he was looking at complete pyramids with only slightly damaged casing stones. Now you have to think about it from what he's seeing. He thinks the whole pyramid is made of this beautiful white block, and why shouldn't he? That's the only part he can see. He doesn't know that underneath there's a lesser quality limestone block. So that's how he talks about it. He also can't climb the second or third such as he was able to the first, because the first one is degreed, stepped in beautiful white Tura limestone. You can't climb the second or third one. They're perfect. They're smooth. Can't do it. And also, he can't get into the second or third one because Khafre has been buried again, so that the one entranceway you can't get into. And nobody's gotten into Menkaure yet. And he describes Menkaure's pyramid, which again he refers to by a different name. And he says that it's covered with black marble. And at least the bottom third is black marble, which corresponds with the fact that it was covered with a darker granite, a red granite. He refers to it as marble. Maybe that's English for granite. I'm not sure. He's not a geologist. He's an astronomer and a mathematician. But he refers to it that way. And again, it's perfect all the way up to the top, as if it were made very recently. In summary, it's my belief that John Greaves, in the 2 summers that he was visiting, he was looking at perfect, beautiful, partially buried pyramids. The first one, though, although it's fairer and whiter than the other 2, it is not smooth-faced. His illustrations show it. Blocked. Perfectly white blocks of hard Tura limestone, if you can picture that. Whiter than the limestone that was used on Khafre. Whiter than the limestone that was used on the top of Menkaure. But blocked nonetheless. And when you take away those blocks and you take away the sand that was put there by Al-Ma'mun, or whomever before him as well, the sand has come and gone. Maybe it was even placed there by nature, but I don't think so. I think it was intentionally placed there to bury the entranceways. So there you have it. That's my summary, and I am just figuring this out now thanks to the amazing writings of John Greaves. He puts it into puzzles. He has to. He's describing what he's doing, and it's a language he knows. It's all linguistic puzzles, and this is what I'm going to do. But I wanted to get this video out there because this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and share, and always keep an open mind. Oh, and big credits and thank you to whoever it is that has the copyrights to Pyramidographia by John Greaves. All of the illustrations are either by myself or by John Greaves. The high-res photographs are by Uncharted X. Thank you, Ben, as I am a patron. And that'll do it. Thank you very much for watching.